Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed as the permanent Manchester United manager. Of course, initially it was an interim role that he took up, but he's really defied all expectations, coming in with a fantastic win percentage, so much better than Sir Alex Ferguson. Take that, 73%. Obviously, you can take that with a pinch of salt, but what you can't mark is his success since taking over at Old Trafford from Jose Mourinho. I suppose the big question that I kind of thought today was, why now?
Well, why now? The idea was just to get it done and allow Solskjaer to plan for the summer, plan for the recruitment strategy, just get this pre-season plan sorted out as well. Because the mistake they've made in the past, when David Moyes came in, they left it too late. They were 2 or 3 months behind everybody else in terms of recruitment. Moyes never recovered from that. Mourinho was also left until after the FA Cup final when he succeeded Van Gaal again. So they were, end of May, beginning of June. Clubs these days start looking for new players in February, March time, and it's too late in May. So they had to make a plan now, and there was no point in waiting until the end of the season because everybody knew it wasn't going to be Mauricio Pochettino or Massimiliano Allegri. It was going to be Solskjaer. So end the uncertainty, give it to him now. The only danger now that I can see is that the players were playing almost to get him the job. Now that the job's been given to Solskjaer, is there kind of this inevitable dip? They've lost 2 games on the bounce already. If they lose a third against Watford at the weekend, they're really off the pace for the top 4. So it is a gamble in the sense of giving it to him now, but I can see why in terms of planning and strategy and give us a head start on next season, really.
Obviously, when this all started, Mark, we were talking about the fact that Pochettino was favourite. Since then, though, Solskjaer obviously has put this run together. Was Pochettino ever talked about amongst the United board?
Well, I think day one, when Mourinho went, Pochettino was the prime candidate. He was the guy that Ed Woodward wanted. He's the guy that Ed Woodward has kind of admired from afar over the last 2 or 3 years. But I think what United felt they were going to do, Solskjaer would come in, steady the ship, buy them some time, and then once the new year happened, January, February time, they start making a concerted effort to get Pochettino or maybe Allegri. But Solskjaer did so well. He won his first 8 games, and by the time he'd won that 8th game, it had all gone quiet for Pochettino because they had a guy in place who the fans loved, the players loved, everybody at the club was saying how happy he made them. It almost became impossible for Ed Woodward and the Glazers to look elsewhere because there would have been uproar in Manchester if they'd gone for somebody else, because the danger was that Solskjaer would do so well, he'd hand it over to somebody else, and then the new guy would come in and not do so well, and then the accusation would be, well, you had the guy in place, why did you change your mind? So they had no choice really but to give it to Solskjaer. It would have been a very bold move by Ed Woodward and the Glazers to say, you've done really well, Ollie, but we think this guy's better because he's managed Tottenham really well. He's not won a trophy, by the way, but he's done really well with Tottenham. So, from my point of view, I think the only person that you could actually say was worth abandoning Solskjaer for would be Pep Guardiola. And they're not going to get Pep Guardiola. But he's the only guy out there right now who's pretty much guaranteed to deliver trophies, but he's unattainable.
I understand what Mark was saying before, Craig, and that you've got to get pre-season sorted and looking at who you're going to transfer in the summer. I just don't know why now.
I don't see why. I don't see why it was such a big problem to if there was somebody out there to thank Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and say we're moving on, because that just smacks of short-termism. That's all this does. I mean, surely this is a long-term project at one of the biggest clubs in the world.
So is this a mistake?
Well, it potentially is a mistake, and it does smell to me of taking the easy way out here, because you put Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a room of top managers and say take your pick. You're not picking him, right? Is he the best man for the job out there? Absolutely, he's not. He's absolutely not the best man for the job. Now, you put that graphic up of the win percentage and you've got Ferguson managing 1,500 games. Anybody that picks up on that and picks it as a reason to give him the job doesn't know what they're talking about. However, if Ed Woodward backs him in the transfer market, which, by the way, he hasn't done with previous managers recently, and goes and gets some top-draw players, potentially, I don't know, Gareth Bale, Jadon Sancho, Koulibaly, Antoine Griezmann, I'm just throwing names out there, then he's got a chance.
Right.
He's got a chance. But if it was anybody other than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he'd been managing Molde, Cardiff City, sacked, Molde again, and he was given the Man United job, there'd have been uproar. Absolute uproar. So this is a risk for me.
Well, there's absolutely no doubt that what he's done what happened with Mourinho in the summer and the way that he brought the team, well, he didn't bring it forward, the way that he managed that team, it was a disaster, it was a shambles. This was Manchester United, one of the greatest teams in world football.
So looking forward, is this a mistake?
I don't think it's a mistake, no. I think.
So what's he done apart from the short-term immediate new manager bounce that he's had, and I'm not taking that away from him, what is in his managerial CV to manage a club of Man United stature to take them back to the top of domestic football and be super competitive in the Champions League?
Well, what he's done, I'll tell you what he's done. Look, you look at that back four, we all say that they need to sort the back four. They need to sort out a lot of things about this team. But what he's done is moved the players around. He's put Pogba in the right place. He's got a little bit out of Mata, he's got a little bit out of Herrera, who's protected that back four to a certain degree, and he's got the forwards playing like absolutely sensational football. Rashford reinvigorated, Lingard before he got in.
I get that, but that's got to happen now over a 3, 4, 5 year period against some of the greatest coaches in European football.
No, I get that, Craig, but let's just put the package together. You've got Mike Phelan. You've got Carrick.
I understand that.
You've got Mike Phelan, who was with Sir Alex, who did unbelievable things, highly respected at that football club. He's in the ear of Solskjaer, and this is the way that they've turned this football club around. This is a juggernaut going in the wrong way. The way that he's turned this club around, he should get the job. Now, the next step now is what's he going to do with the money? Who's he going to bring in? We all know what we think he needs. He needs a couple of central defenders. He's a holding midfield player because Matic is getting past his sell-by date. And maybe a bit more pace up front. I mean, that's it. You know, it's not going to be rocket science, but it's getting those right players at the right price into one of the best clubs in the world.
Is this a mistake?
I don't think so. I understand that the resume of Mauricio Pochettino is much stronger than that of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There is no question about that. But I also do know that the resume of Jose Mourinho is stronger than that of Mauricio Pochettino. And this man, with this same group of players, was unable to get the very best out of them. Solskjaer comes in, and yes, it is a short-term solution. And yes, it is indeed, we're looking at just 19 games that he has played. But you are getting the best out of the group of players that you have available. That, by definition, is the number one priority of any manager, is to get the very best of what you have available. And he's getting that. So for that alone, he should get, at the very least, a chance at this job, and an opportunity to carry this team forward. Now, the other thing that I would say about Pochettino, for as good as he has been, and believe me, I appreciate what he has done with Spurs, there's got to be something about him that doesn't quite fit. Because there was an opportunity for him to go to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid, On multiple occasions, they went in a different direction, eventually ended up back on Zidane. All right, there's an opportunity here in Manchester United, and they didn't just jump on him right away. They decided to go in a different direction, allowing Solskjaer to come in and show the result that he has shown. So there's no guarantee that Mauricio Pochettino walks into this club and walks into this locker room and gets results. There's no guarantee of that, because Mourinho should have gotten results, and he did not. And so, for as much as we fall in love on resumes and the potential of a manager coming into a club, I know what I've gotten with the players with Solskjaer at the helm of the team. I don't know what I will get with Pochettino.
Well, I think you do. What you've got with Tottenham is what you get with Mauricio Pochettino, with a much less budget. To go back to the point you're making about Jose Mourinho did get the best out of these players. They finished second in the league the season before, and they won a cup.
Come on now, Craig.
And what happened was, in my opinion, he realised that Ed Woodward, and he wasn't backing his manager, and he started picking fights early. Well, and he knew there was going to be a doubt.
You can't say he got the best out of the players.
He got the best out of the players last year. They finished second in the Premier League. He realised, in my opinion, that he was not going to get the backing of the board that he wanted.
He's being bounced by Sevilla.
He started picking
European competition.
He started picking fights, and he wanted the sack.
Right? Yes, but you cannot say that he got the best out of the players.
He wasn't too bothered about getting the best out of the players.
Oh, well, but that's the job of a manager.
Well,
though.
But what I'm saying is that's not, we're comparing apples and oranges here with Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm not saying he should not get the job. I'm saying, is he the best man out there for the job to manage one of the biggest clubs in world football? No, he's not.
I would argue that I would take Allegri over Pochettino.
Well, that's a debate, yeah.
Robbo, is the hiring of Solskjaer a mistake?
I think long term it could be. At the moment, I think it's the right decision because if Ed Woodward went somewhere else, as Mark was saying, the crowd would turn on him. They would turn on the owners as well. He had to make that decision, but it shouldn't be for a long-term contract because I don't think over the next 2 or 3 years we're going to see Solskjaer be a top-class manager. He's just lost 2 games on the trot, and if he loses another one against Watford, and we saw the worst performance of Manchester United last week against Wolves, where they played exactly how Jose Mourinho had them playing. Slow tempo, not enough work rate. The Martial didn't look as though he was interested. Pogba didn't look as though he could pick out the right pass. He was making the wrong decisions. I think we're going to see a Solskjaer struggle next season, maybe, once he's had this interim period where all the players wanted him, all the fans wanted him.
Robert, what's the point?
At the moment, they can't go again. Edward Woodward would end up being hated. He'd be thrown out the club. Whatever, the crowd would turn on everything. He's the one making the decision, and he's going to make the decision of giving Solskjaer the job. You can't.
Ed Woodward's going to be stronger over the long term of this football club than to be worried about getting a bit of stick off the fans and saying, "Oh, just put this guy in," and if it goes wrong again, I mean, how many managers are you going to have to sack? I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go wrong, but you're defeating your own argument. You're saying, well, it's the right decision, but next year it's probably end up going to be pretty bad again. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
He had no choice. He had no choice at the moment. At the start, he had no choice because he hasn't got a choice.
Yes, he has.
There's no way. If you get that record as he's had as the interim manager, and the players will want him, the crowd will want him, you're going to have to be a very brave man to go against that and give it to somebody else.
Or a sensible man that goes out and thinks about the next 5 or 10 years. And not in the next 5 or 10 months.